Oh. Hello dear viewers, welcome back to Gleave Makes. This is an update video on Dragonfly, my 7¼ inch gauge electric locomotive, and as promised, next time I took it out I was going to do an update video on it, and here we are. We're in the exact same spot as that video, 2 years ago, where I introduced the locomotive and talked about all the different things I want to change on it. So it's just a quick video going through all the things I have changed and talking through all of those, and then the next steps of what I want to do. Starting at the front, I have changed the headlight to an LED, so it's bright but doesn't get super hot like the one did before. I replaced the coupling on the front, and I'll put in the description where I bought the actual coupling itself, but I painted it black and then I've just drilled some holes through best I can, and it's just coupling bars are held in place with a little eye bolt, and then I've got these eye bolts also fixed on the front, sort of for lifting points and stuff like that, so it's much easier to lift. Nowadays this is actually stored in my cousin's garage instead of in the flat on the second floor, which was mental. So every time I take it out I'd have to get my partner's dad to come and help me carry it down the stairs, but thankfully I don't have to do it anymore. But these are still useful. I think they look pretty good, but you can see the paintwork's a bit dodgy, so we'll get on to that. The bonnet now has hinges and handles. There's one on each side, so I can just grab it and pull it open like that. It's a little cabinet hinge you can see there, one on each of those, and they've got a 3D printed spacer because it didn't originally work, but I've positioned it in such a way that it closes perfectly, which is really nice. You can see I've tidied up some of the wiring in there for the headlight. Horns on the front, they are normal car snail horns, a high and a low, so I do have dual tone horns, which was one of the things I wanted. They don't work very well because of the still lack of power that I have, which is incredibly frustrating, but at least they're installed, that's fine. Battery is the same as before, but I do have a spare in the tender. The whole wiring system is a bit more simple. I've got a 4QD horn relay board there. There's a whole video on me installing that and installing the horns and the new headlight, so go and check that out. I'm now no longer afraid to touch the terminals on the battery because, as a few people informed me on the last video, which did surprisingly well in terms of views and stuff, which is great to see, a car battery is not going to give you a significant shock, so I'm no longer afraid of touching that. You can blame Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, where they torture a guy for information using a car battery and some clamps, so just yeah, there's not much going on here. The motor is still the same, so that's one of the next things I really need to do. I need to upgrade this to a 24 volt system. I believe I can change the controller to 24 volt without actually replacing it, which would be good if I can, and then I'm going to have two mobility scooter batteries in here because they should last longer with a bit more consistent power output. Car batteries, from what I understand, are really good at short output of power, but not sustained, not for long usage and stuff like that. The power really drops when I start going uphill, and that probably is also down to the weak motor that I've got in there. You can see everything's still quite worse for wear. It's dusty. Not having a workshop to work on this is painful because obviously I'd love to just strip the whole thing down and rebuild it, which is on my list of things to do. But at the moment, as it stands, it is just what it is. But I'm pleased with what I've done so far. One of the biggest things I wanted to achieve, which I have done, is wiring the headlights to the hand controller. So on the left here, that is the headlight switch, which works, and then the horns are on this switch here, but they just work half the time. I mean, all of a sudden now there's only one tone, whereas before there was two. Apparently I'm missing a screw in there. So I don't know how exactly that's happened, but I'll fix that. But yeah, so the controller's mounted there, which is very convenient, not having to hold it or chuck it down wherever, not getting lost, it's always there. I've got the key start on the left there, whereas originally it was in that hole underneath there, you can see. So it's right, easy access. It's switched off at the moment, but the horns and stuff still work because they're connected to the horn relay board. The tender, not much has happened with the tender. As you can see, I've put a standard sort of school plastic chair top on it because it's a bit more comfortable for the meantime. That's only sort of a temporary thing. The back is where it's a bit more interesting. I've got a light on the back, which is just a bicycle light, which currently is, I thought it was out of battery. It's got that mode, and then it does the flashing as well. So that's, you know, just USB rechargeable, just unscrews and I can charge that up. And I've got a proper coupling on the back, same as on the front. But obviously I've got these holes in the rear buffer beam, which is not great. I think eventually what I'll probably do is take all this paint off and just fill it with weld and grind it back down. I think that's probably the best thing to do to make it nice and smooth. And then I've got a coupling bar holder that I 3D printed, designed and 3D printed. So there's got two coupling bars that just slot in there, and you know, convenient position to just attach a wagon on the back. But this thing does not have the power to pull wagons, unfortunately. It's very annoying. Main issue with that is the fact that it's like one 12 volt tiny little 12 volt motor with one 12 volt car battery. From what I understand, I could get like a 1 horsepower 24 volt motor, and I might just replace the one I've got with one of those, and then have two batteries in here, which should be fairly easy to do. I could put one battery in the cradle and one on the front here, something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but we will see what I can do. So when I first turned up here, I immediately derailed, and that's because the tender was causing me issues. Turns out that half of the grub screws that are holding the wheels in place are missing, which I never picked up on before somehow, and they were too close together. So instead of being 7¼ inch, they were like 7 inches or a bit less, which was really obviously not ideal. So effectively I was falling in between the points and derailing. So I've spent a couple of hours this morning actually tightening all of those up and make sure they're engaged and centered and all that sort of thing. But to be honest, it is a bit rubbish. So I am going to, I think, take all of the wheels and bearing stuff off the bottom, replace the bearings, and look at actually welding the wheels in place instead of relying on grub screws. I'm just gonna weld it up because that's causing lots of issues. So there's lots to do. I mean, I really want to rebuild the whole thing. I want to do like a metal body and you know, new tender and all that sort of thing. I have a design for a new tender, so stay tuned on that. But not quite there yet in building that, but I think it's probably a good time. The Loco is pretty good. The only thing that's wrong, I mean, the bodywork leaves some to be desired. So I do want to repaint the whole thing, but I think if I'm going to, you know, strip the whole thing down and repaint it, I may as well just replace the body. But I think I'm going to start first of all. One of the first things I want to do, I think, is source a 24 volt 1 horsepower engine, get 2 new batteries, and fit that in there just so I've got more power, because the Loco itself is fine, it runs well, it just needs more power. Perfect example here of why I need to move to a 24 volt system. I'm going up a very slight incline. I mean, it's pretty steep to be fair, but you know, for a locomotive wise, but and I am practically crawling along, which is not great, especially if you've got people coming up behind you. So I'm really need to think about upgrading this to a 24 volt system. I need a good, you know, 1 horsepower electric motor or something like that to replace the one that's currently in there, and get a couple of, it's going to cost me about 400 quid probably, just for a new motor and batteries, but obviously it'll be worth it in the end, being able to actually pull, and also, you know, to not be absolutely dead going uphill. And then the main thing I need to do is really fix the wheel sets underneath there, which I think is my most immediate job I need to do. So make sure the wheels are centered on the axles, make sure that the you know, the wheels are correctly spaced apart for 7¼ inch gauge. The whole thing's a complete mess down there, and I will show that in another video, but for now this is how it is. Another exciting thing I'm working on, which will be posted soon in a video, is brass maker plates for the Loco. I'm going to have one on each side, and that's a very interesting process where I actually have used resin to make resin filled with brass powder to make basically almost 100% solid brass without it being casted plates, and that was 3D printed and then cast, which is going to be really interesting. So I'm excited to bring that to you as well. There's lots of jobs to do, but I think I have a bit of a clearer direction on incremental changes that I want to do. I think at some point soon I'll start work on the new tender. As I said, I've got the design for that in CAD already. It's obviously the same size, but a bit of a nicer design in my opinion visually, and also slightly lower seat, lower centre of gravity, and I'm also going to get rid of that horrible blue chair. It's comfortable, but it doesn't look very good. And the 24 volt 1 horsepower motor. So those are the next things to do. So you need to stay tuned for that. Thank you for all the support on the first video I did on Dragonfly. Lots of views and comments and stuff, which is really great to see. So, you know, I got lots of new subscribers, people who want to see more. One person commented saying that they clicked on the video hoping to see this turntable move, and they were sorely disappointed. And I'm sorry to say, it was my intention to show you, but the whole thing is seized up. I don't think it gets used very often. You can see that effectively you could rotate it around to go onto, that's an old hydraulic lifting table over there, but people don't use it, so it's basically just seized in place, unfortunately. So I can't show you that. There's a new track you can see that's been installed over there for loading your car and that sort of thing. But yeah, so lots of things to do for Dragonfly. A few issues to deal with, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, you know, it gives me something to do. It's part of the fun, part of the hobby. Eventually Dragonfly is going to get a complete makeover. We're talking long in the future. I'm definitely going to rebuild the body out of steel instead of plywood, which it is at the moment. And the biggest thing that I want to do is get a little petrol motor under the bonnet and have it a petrol electric locomotive. So a petrol motor turning a electric motor, basically a dynamo, whatever it's called, and you know, for that super ultra power. But to do that, I'm going to need a much more reliable tender. So I think working on the underside of the tender is you know, the next main job, and increasing the power. So I'm going to just splice in after here some shots of running, and you can enjoy a little bit of this beautiful Andover scenery through the woods here. Not as much as I will, because I'll actually be here doing it. But yeah, keep an eye on their website. They have you know, visitors days and open days for potential members, and visiting Locomotives Day. So if you're from a different club, you can bring your locomotive down. Big huge steam engines and stuff come through here. Obviously 7¼ inch or 5-inch gauge is what they have, but definitely worth looking into. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe for more updates, and I'll definitely make some videos as I'm doing all these different changes, so you need to stay tuned for that. And go back and check. You can see the video of me installing new horns and the headlights and the you know, the horn relay board, stuff like that. So lots of exciting things to come. And I've got a new locomotive project, you know, working away in the background when I can, and an actual wagon as well, which hopefully eventually I'll start bringing with Dragonfly, so I can have passengers and do some hauling as well, which will be really exciting. So subscribe for all of that. Anyway, thanks for watching everyone, and I will catch you in the next video. Enjoy the clips as they go.